Super Bowl champions, Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Ezelina, and I'm joined by a guy who always had my back when I talked smack in high school or college. Goodness gracious. When I talked smack in college, because listen, I was a little guy and I said a lot of things, but he was always there, always had my back if it came down to it. Regzy Boo, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, bud. Yeah, the funniest thing about all that was I didn't get in one fight in my entire life. Ever. Like, not once.
And then you met Stein.
And then I met Stein and you. Yep. And, you know, I am loyal to a fault. So if I say you're my friend, you give me a call. I'm like, need you here right now. All right, cool. Let's do it.
And there we were.
Yep. Which is much more embarrassing to think about as a now 37-year-old. As of today. Yeah. It's odd to think back to when we were just young whippersnappers.
Hold on. Today's the 12th. Your birthday?
Yes, that's right.
Oh my gosh. I totally forgot that it was the 12th. For some reason, I thought you were later in September. Dude, I'm the worst friend ever.
No, you're not.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Happy birthday.
It.
What'd you do?
I mean, I took the afternoon off from work. Went and had some beers at a local brewery, just hanging out outside, listening to some podcasts. And I don't know, low key, went to dinner. Didn't have any, practices tonight, so that was nice. We could actually go to dinner at a reasonable time. Yeah. And then here I am. I'm going to watch, a movie or something with the wife when we're done.
I love it, but I feel terrible. I'm not good with birthdays, Regs. So I'm really sorry.
It's not a
happy birthday.
You don't have to be sorry. I only brought it up because I'm just thinking, I've been thinking all day, man, I'm a lot closer to 40 than I realized.
Well, we are. We're very close.
We are. And so when you then have to think back to when we were 20 years old, it's like, wow.
How about it?
Crazy.
How about it? Well, I should know. I should know and should have. I
think they're more or less true. I don't think we actually got in very many actual fights. It was more, You guys would call me over, I'd show up, and then it would that'd be it. I don't think we ever really wanted to fight anybody.
Similarly to what happened the other night in the Phillies game, which is why I asked you the question.
That's right.
So that also brings the question on of if you could have any two players, and we're going to do this in a draft. I'm going to let you pick first here. To have your back from the Phillies in a fight, who would be your first choice? We're only going to take two each.
This might shock some people, but it's going to be Jeff Hoffman.
Oh, what? Why?
Because I think I could have gone with a lot of other people, but okay. I think if we're talking about we might need to specify the type of fight, but if I just need someone at my side for any kind of fight, he's a big guy. I feel like he's got some anger in him. You kind of need a little bit of crazy to be a major league bullpen guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking the size, I'm taking the attitude. Okay. And I feel like no matter what the situation was, he'd be good for it. I have some opinions on some other guys that maybe we'll get into depending on who you pick.
Well, I'm going to take Cassidy first.
That's a good pick.
I mean,
he was up there.
Again, size for sure, but also that dude doesn't give two shits.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
Not a single shit. So that he's my first pick. I actually thought you were going to take him. So
he was my number two. He was my number two pick.
Okay, so then who is essentially your number 3?
The second one's tough because I'm trying.
I know mine. If you don't take him, I've got mine, and there's a specific reason why from what happened this week that I take him.
I'm trying to think of. So I think I know who you're gonna pick, but I'm gonna. Oh man, it's tough. I'm gonna take Marsh.
Who do you think I'm taking?
I think you're taking Strom.
Okay. Why are you taking Marsh?
I think there's a little bit of crazy, which, as an intimidation factor, if you just have some guy coming up there barking at them when you're about to get in a fight, I feel like you're winning the mental side of it a little bit. And Marsh is not a small dude.
No.
Like when Cal Stevenson came in the dugout the other night, when they showed that clip,
I thought the same thing.
Marsh looked like he was his dad. He was like, it was like he was looking at my 10-year-old son when they got in the dugout. He was like a head taller than him.
Yep. And you hear Crux say it a lot. He's country strong.
Oh,
like he is built like a brick house.
Yeah. I need a mental edge. I need a guy who's just going to be like barking as we walk through the dark alley, and people are going to be thinking like, what the hell is about to happen?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. It's a really good pick. I'm not taking Strom. I'm taking Jose Alvarado.
That was going to be my next guess.
So if you watched all the replays of everything and like everybody digging into this whole fight, Jose Alvarado was sort of getting ready to go back down the tunnel. Had his glove. You see him like look, and then he looks again, and he is like the second dude out of that dugout. Like Stubbs kind of bolts first.
Yeah.
By the way, super underrated pick, Garrett Stubbs.
It is. The size hurts him. Unfortunately, the size hurts him.
For sure. Also, though, first dude over that railing, Chris Sanchez.
Yeah.
That dude catapulted himself over the rail. I mean, Weston Wilson and Cody Clemens both got over pretty quickly. But so I like all four of our guys, honestly. I clearly like Bryce was going for it, and we've seen Bryce go for it in fights in his career.
Yeah.
I don't think Trey would be a guy I would take, or Bowen.
No, I don't think so.
To be honest with you. Rojas, probably not. Strami, definitely coming out in the yoga shorts.
Schwarber, maybe, as just a thick monster of a man. Just probably would never go down.
What do you think about Wheeler?
Just doesn't have the strength for it. Doesn't have the physical attributes I'm looking for here.
How about Estevez? I feel like there's something there.
There might be.
Okay.
He may try and like Kamehameha everybody and think he's in like Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, he is. He is. I think another underrated guy is my last one would be Weston Wilson.
That's a good choice.
That guy looks like he belongs in like a biker, like a preppy biker gang. Like he's got the perfectly shaved beard, but he's got the whole sleeve, and he's jacked.
He's a thick dude.
Mm-hmm.
I think
there are a lot of them.
My plan would be you're just looking at me and Hoff standing next to each other, and he's got this look in his eye where it's like he's a little bit crazy, and then you just hear from the background, "Hoo, hoo, hoo," and then you see this caveman looking figure stalk out of the night. And it's freaking Brandon Marsh.
I love it. I love it so much. It's so good. It's so good. Well, this baseball team, not just a bunch of fighters. Maybe they are in more than one sense. 30 games over 500. There was a point, Regz, where we were ready to pack it in and be absolutely done with this roster.
You can go listen to the episode. It's titled "The Phillies Suck" in capital letters.
Yeah, it's there. It is there. For those of you wondering, 30 games over. They've won 5 of their last 6 series. All 5 series that they've won are against teams that were within the playoff. Like the Rays were only 3 or 4 games out. Swept them. 2 of 3 from the Royals, 2 of 3 from the Astros, 3 of 4 from the Braves, and then they played 2 teams who were not involved in the playoffs. 2-game sweep of the Blue Jays, split 2-2 in Miami. I know a lot of people weren't happy about it, but I think there's a lot that goes into that series, in my head at least, because then they bounce back, come home, and just decimate the Rays. And the scores aren't decimating, don't get me wrong, but still won games they probably shouldn't have won.
Well,
and that's what they were doing early in the year.
I think that's the biggest thing is that just look at the lineups they were putting out there for this Rays series.
So bad.
Like, especially game 3 with no Schwarber. Like, going Stott with how he's going right now. Turner finally kind of picked it up a little bit, 4 home runs in his last, 6-7 games or something. He finally looked like he was, getting back a little bit. Bryce, who, again, has been on just hitting the ball everywhere, just not out of the ballpark. And then that's it. Like, again, Castellanos is kind of in one of his he's been fine. Again, he hit the home run the other night. Not crazy, but
there was never a doubt he was going to homer on 9/11. Never a doubt.
Not crazy, not terrible for Casty. Marsh has been, fine. But then it went it was some combination of Cody Clemens, Johan Rojas, Garrett Stubbs, or Garcia, or
Weston Wilson,
Wes
Garcia.
Wilson, Cal Stevenson eventually, Buddy Kennedy at some point. It's
they were basically playing with they
iron,
asked Wheeler about it. It was the Iron Pigs.
Right. And they still managed to win games. And the Tampa Bay, for their offense not being great, they still have really good pitching.
Yeah.
And it was just big to keep rolling. They got to just, especially going into this Mets series. This is the one, man. These games against the Mets are what we got to be focused on and what they have to be ready for. And luckily, it sounds like JT will be back. Kyle will be back. We're still up in the air on Bohm and Hayes. But at least we're getting a couple weapons back just to kind of solidify this lineup a little bit.
Yeah, for me, we're going to talk about that Mets series. Clearly, injuries have really bugged this team from an offensive standpoint. The thing that's turned it around most for me is the consistency, and again, all 3 places on this roster. They're hitting the ball more consistently. I know they still have games where it doesn't feel that way, but I feel like those games are so much fewer and farther in between than they were for the month and a half prior.
Yeah.
The starting pitching outside of that 5th spot that they just can't figure out, and Ranger, the top 3 have been phenomenal. Nola had the bad start in Miami, but had 2 or 3 good starts up to that point. And the bullpen is starting to figure itself out again too. Those guys who are going through that period are not going through that period, and Jose Alvarado is starting to look like Jose of old.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'll say. In all 3 phases, if you take all 3 phases, if they're clicking, say 4 or 5 guys in your lineup are clicking, your rotation top 3 with Ranger doing what he's done in postseasons past, and I want to talk about that real briefly. And then you've got 5 or 6 guys in your bullpen, and I count Jose Ruiz into that because he's been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
They're very difficult to beat in the postseason, plain and simple.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a team in baseball that beats them if they're all clicking. And they're playing their best ball again right now. And typically, if you get yourself going in September, you hopefully can carry that through October.
Right.
I want you to kind of tell me what you think is going well for them. And then I want to just talk about the Ranger point for a second, talk about the Mets series, and get your input on when you think they clinch. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me what has taken them from they're 18, 17 games over back to 30.
I mean, I'm going to focus on the bullpen. This bullpen's ability to hold 1-run leads. to give the offense a chance to score some runs like they did on Tuesday, I believe. Like, that's what this bullpen was doing that whole first half of the season. They were coming in, they were either keeping games tied or keeping leads at 1, just allowing the offense to chip away at it. And then we lost that. They were not doing that for that 2.5 month stretch there. And again, it wasn't just on them. The hitting just wasn't there. But it never felt like they had the chance to come back. It never felt like a lead was going to be held in order to, have a comeback be even a thought. And we're back to, if these guys come in a tied game or in a 1-run game, like, the score is just going to stay that way. And that's just how it is. And I think it just gives everyone on the offense such a boost to be like, we're going to be in this, guys. Like, we don't have to be world beaters. We just got to do enough. Just get us up a run, and maybe let's tack on one more and we'll be good to go. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, Gelb, you talked about Alvarado. Gelb had a good article on him and his sort of mindset since coming back from being on the restricted list. He said Alvarado refuses to give any details about what was going on back in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. But the thing that seems to be very clear is that his mind is free now.
Right.
And he's quoted in the article to saying, like, it's amazing what can happen when you're focused on what you need to be focused on. So there was clearly something obviously was affecting his ability to be the best major league pitcher he could be. And again, we hope everything is okay. We hope, his family's all right, obviously, but he's saying, like, now I have the ability to refocus, and we're seeing it translate onto the field. And to get Kerkering back into a spot where he's got some confidence, like that inning coming in 1st and 3rd with 1 out, like, that kid doesn't do that last year. It just doesn't happen. Even
or
a month ago. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
There might not be one pitcher on that team besides Hoffman who comes into that situation a month ago and holds it.
Maybe not even him.
Exactly. And holds it. And now you're going to the second year guy because you've got that much confidence in him. So I think it's the bullpen's ability to do what they do and hold teams to a certain number and give the offense a shot is just boosting everybody up.
Yeah, and so I want to piggyback on that, and I just want to talk about Ranger real quickly before we get to the Mets series, and just a quick preview of that. It's going to be a luxury for Topper come October to be able to go out to that pen and basically be able to call on 5 or 6 different guys. Because when you think about 2022, he could call on 2 guys. It was Sir Anthony Dominguez and Jose Alvarado. And by the end of October, they were shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year, he tried calling on Kerkering, just wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
He tried calling on Sir Anthony, wasn't quite the same. Kimbrel was awful.
Yeah.
Alvarado was a little more inconsistent last year than he was in 2022. Really, their best arm out there was Jeff Hoffman. Now, in 22, he also called on Eflin once or a few times as well, but that got dicey. He's going to be able to call on a whole lot of guys this year. Whole lot of guys. And have confidence in every single one of them. Which kind of leads me to the Ranger point. Look, Ranger is going through it right now. You texted me the other night and asked me what was going on with him, and to me, I think it's pretty simple. He's doing his rehab now. He didn't go and do a rehab stint. Mm-hmm. So he's rehabbing at the big league level. He's not throwing hard. He's kind of got dead arm at the moment. So he's working through that. He's working through the rehab stuff. He doesn't have control of his pitches. But I know a lot of people have said to me, like, man, we need him to be good in the postseason. And I'm going to ask you to put on your flashback helmet for a second and think back to 22 and 23 when he pitched in the postseason. He was great. He was great. We always joke that he doesn't have a pulse. But the question I want to ask you is, what happened in the 4th or 5th inning in every Ranger start?
He was pulled.
He was pulled. Now, if Rangers starts game 4 in the postseason, which is very possible, and say, it's the DS and you're up 2-1 and you're on the road, right? And you've got a 4-1 lead or a 3-1 lead in the 6th, even the 5th. Say it's the 5th and it's the bottom of the order up for the Padres. Fine. Go to Jose Ruiz for the 5th. And then base the rest of your game on matchups with Alvarado, Strom, Kerkering, Estevez, and Hoffman. Like, I think we are like, oh my gosh, what if with Ranger? And it's fair. But Ranger wasn't like a guy who went in the 7th inning in the postseason the last 2 years. He was a guy who got you through the order twice, and then Topper pulled him. At the first glimpse of trouble, Topper pulled him.
Yeah.
If we get Christopher Sanchez from this year in the postseason, our 1 through 3 is better than the 1 through 3 we had in 22 or 23, and I will argue anybody on that. Because Christopher Sanchez is going to get you 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings of dominant baseball, and they're going to let him go and pitch. They didn't let Ranger do that, and there's a reason for it. So, just something that I've been thinking about. I want Ranger to be good too. Don't take this the wrong way. But I also know that when the postseason comes around, they're going to handle him the way that they've done the last 2 years in a game 4 if they've got a 2-1 lead. Just food for thought.
No, I think you're right. I think the reason that it's coming up in the discussion so much is because people are just wanting so badly him to be in the same boat as Sanchez. Like, they love Ranger. We love Ranger. He had such a great start to the year where it's like, oh my gosh, we got 4 guys that maybe could go 6 or 7 innings in a playoff game. And I think that was the expectation. And now that it's lessened, sometimes you have to search for things to complain about when teams are playing well. And as Philadelphians, we're very good at that. But I think that's where a lot of it stems from. I don't think it stems from like an actual like factual basis. You know what I mean? It's not based on how he looks now. It's not based on that. It's like everyone loves Ranger and they know how well he pitched in the start of the season. And everyone just wants that to come back. And like, it's just not happening. And we just have to be okay with, look, he's the number 4 right now. Like, he just is. Christopher Sanchez has beat him for the number 3 spot.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this as we get closer to the postseason, but Sanchi might pitch game 2 of an NLDS. So, all right, let's jump to the Mets series. I think what's so funny to me is if we're talking about this at the beginning of June and we're looking at the schedule for the middle of September, we are saying, oh, that Mets series isn't going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
But credit to a team that I despise with every fiber of my being. They battled their butts off and they're back in it. This is not a team I want to see in the postseason. They are scorching hot.
Yeah.
10-2 in their last 12. For context, the Phillies are 11-3 in their last, I'm sorry, not 11-3. They're 9-3 in their last 12. So both very hot teams right now. But the Mets they've clawed themselves back into this. They believe in themselves. And this weekend is their opportunity to say, we're not done yet.
Yeah.
We still have a shot at this division because we play you 7 times. Now, pitching matchups for the weekend. Jose Quintana will pitch for the Mets on Friday night against Aaron Nola. Quintana has given us our troubles in the past. We did get him earlier this year. So we're going to see a pretty righty heavy lineup on Friday, tomorrow night. So I'd assume you'll probably see Weston Wilson playing third base tomorrow is my guess. Unless they want to go with Cody because he's swinging a good bat right now. It's not like a dominant lefty that you're dealing with. He's just crafty lefty. Saturday will be Severino and Colby Allard. They've said he's pitching Saturday. It's not listed on MLB's website or the app, but he'll pitch Saturday. And look, we've been dying for a guy that's just going to come and get us 4 or 5 innings of like 2-3 run ball. He's done that in all of his starts, so hopefully that continues. Sunday, are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'm there Friday too this week.
Okay, cool. Well, it's TBD on Sunday for the Mets. We'll see Sanchi on Sunday afternoon against the Mets. Here's the thing, Regz. Tomorrow's game is really important.
Yeah.
I don't feel great about winning on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I feel much better about Sunday with Sanchi pitching at home.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a really important game. Because for me, and this goes into the magic number, I told you earlier this week that I wanted them to be 9 games from number when they got to the Mets series.
Yeah.
Because winning 2 out of 3 would put it at 5, which is a great spot to be going into the last week and a half. So it needs to be 2 out of 3 in my eyes. I not one. One basically makes the lead in the division 6.
Yeah.
I don't feel good about that. 2 out of 3 puts it at 8.
Mm-hmm.
So your thoughts? They're banged up a little bit on the Mets side. I think McNeil's hurt. I know Nimmo's cooled off a bit. Alonso's swinging at a lot of junk right now. Lindor's second in MVP odds in the National League. I'm nervous. I'm gonna be honest with you. Confidence level is like a 4 or 5. I need them to win tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't have much else. Like I'm not contradicting you on anything here. I'm with you. I think tomorrow's a huge game. We've seen Allard do it a little bit, but like as we've seen with Phillips and other guys, like it can just be really bad really quickly with these guys. And like you said, there's no, hotter team in baseball over the past month or so than the Mets. So I'm just hoping. I think somebody said it. I think Fritz said it on High Hopes today. He's like, I'm just waiting for the Metsy thing to happen. Like everyone's just waiting for the Mets thing to happen.
Right.
And I'm hoping let's hope this weekend is the start of it. Let's just hope that
if we can Mets them, that'd be great.
That's what I mean. They're just going to turn into the Mets. They turn back into the pumpkin, and like I said, I think take 2 out of 3, get out of there with it at 8. Play the Brewers, win the one you have to win the tie break. Just take care of business. No one's asking for a sweep or anything like that. I don't care how they win. I don't care what the score is. I don't care how they look. Like, just win the games. Just win the games.
Yeah, because let's be very honest here. Like, they leave us and go play 3 at home against Washington.
Yeah.
So, if they take 2 of 3 or heaven forbid sweep, the Phillies are going to be looking in the rearview mirror because the Mets aren't losing to the Nationals.
Yeah.
And then there's 4 in New York for the Phils. So then it's Atlanta and Milwaukee for the Mets, and Milwaukee's going to be fighting still, hopefully for that. Yeah. Well, not hopefully. Hopefully they're not fighting.
Well, yeah.
But if we're losing, they're fighting. For that 2 seed. So, yeah, it is a huge series coming our way this weekend, and one that we're going to be on pins and needles for. So they need a good Aaron Nola start tomorrow. 6 innings, 7 innings if he can do it.
Yeah,
saves the bullpen for Saturday's Colby Allard start.
Yeah.
If he can give him 6 or 7 tomorrow, and the Phillies can have a nice size lead, then that allows for the meaty part of the bullpen to be used in the Allard start. So
yeah,
All right, so let's do this real quickly. When do you have them clinching the division? Or are you, Azzy, we can't even go there right now. Let's get through the Mets series.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about it. Ask me after we take 2 or 3 from the Mets. I don't know.
All right.
I don't want to think past this. I'm
I think
with
that's
you.
fair.
I'm deathly afraid of what might happen this weekend. Like I'm just
I
afraid.
am 100% there. And I'm glad that we're not answering that question because I don't even want to put it out there.
Yeah.
I will say that if they can win 2 of 3, I feel really good about the 1 or 2 seed just because, we got 3 with the Brewers and then the Brewers have to play Arizona. They play Arizona this weekend and next weekend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Milwaukee has a tough 10-game stretch here.
Yeah.
That, the Phillies can really set it up for themselves that they're, heading into next weekend in New York.
Mm-hmm.
If they win 2 of 3 this weekend, they can go into next weekend in New York pretty much with their magic number in both places around 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Which is a really nice place to be. So,
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens. Fingers crossed.
Oh man.
Mets have the Dodgers this weekend too. So, or Braves have the Dodgers. Sorry.
Yeah.
This weekend. So 4-game series. Let's split that one, guys. If we could just split that one, that'd be great. All right, Birds time, buddy.
All right.
So let's quickly. I'm gonna tell you this now because I didn't tell you this before the show. It gives you a chance for the Atlanta game. The Birds are 6.5 point favorites on Monday night. The Nick Foles retirement game.
Mm-hmm.
And the total is 47.5. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I wanted to give you that for your predictions.
Okay, thank you.
Look, I'm going to ask you first, and then I want you to tell me what guys you want graded out from the tape. Just your thoughts, your recap of what you saw from the Birds last Friday in Brazil. We know the field wasn't great on either side. A lot of slippage, a lot of foliage. But just your initial takeaways, 2 or 3 takeaways that could be good, could be bad. Maybe do 2 good ones, 2 bad ones.
Yeah.
Just your initial takeaways.
Yeah, like I said, just a few. My biggest ones are that the D-line was basically a no-show pressure-wise. Again, a lot of people are contributing that to the field, like in the film review, but Vic didn't have the most glowing review of Bryce Huff in his press conference this week. So I don't know what's going on, but it wasn't the most encouraging thing. And listen, we'll see how this week goes. I think this is a big week to see if we can get some pressure on the quarterback. Number 2, Devontae Smith is the best, and I love him. Just flat out, the dude is just nails all the time, and it's the best. I'm a little concerned that Jalen's decision making regressed from everything we had heard in training camp. That he was being decisive. I'm not I get it, it's training camp and things like that, but when you hear that much of it, the decisiveness, the not even putting the ball in a place where guys could intercept it. And you just saw some really bad decisions, not just in passes, but also in RPOs. He kept the ball a few times where he just give the ball up, man. So I just think the decision-making wasn't very good. And these turnovers are starting to stack up for him. If you look at his past, even just the past 12 games or something, he's almost averaging 2 a game. And it's too many. It's not great. And then I think the last thing is, I was very encouraged, or I was very pleased that Quinyon played well. I think he was a guy that I said had it and was going to win the job, and my prediction was this guy's going to be it. And again, he had his mistakes, not perfect by any means, but the moment did not seem too big for him. Despite his quietness, he seems to have an attitude about him, which all the best cornerbacks need. Like, you need to think you belong out there. And I just think this kid's just showing the ability to be an outside, like a true impact outside corner in the NFL.
Yeah, I loved all of that. Is there any like so I text you after I watched the tapes and the game back and
Yep.
and all that stuff. Anyone that you want a specific grade on, or anyone that you want me to specifically touch on?
I think a lot of people have been talking about CJGJ. A lot of people have been talking about
Yeah.
Jordan Davis, and a lot of people are obviously talking about the linebackers. So
Yeah.
I'd say take your pick there.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this about CJ. He wasn't the only one missing tackles. Like, there were a lot of the tackling was awful, which I think is just a weak one. They don't tackle in the preseason. They don't play, they don't tackle at camp. It's their first real like tackling opportunity. It's a bad field. I'll tell you what, the big play, not the first one to read, not the end around, but the throw.
Mm-hmm.
Was just busted coverage across the board, and then a terrible angle from Gardner Johnson. I mean, one of the worst tackling angles I think I've ever seen. I don't know if it was just he didn't realize how fast Reed was, because Reed is lightning quick.
Yeah.
But it was really poor. I don't think, like, I'm not gonna shred CJGJ. I think it's a B- C like grade from what I saw. He missed some plays. He made some plays. I think the biggest concern for me was the biggest investment of the offseason. I know you mentioned Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis, there were a lot of plays where I think the linebackers making plays were a result of Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
And that doesn't show up. Like, just his ability to take up two guys because he's so big.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up allowing for Zach Bond to blitz cleanly, or be able to come up and shoot a gap on a run. The guy had 15 tackles. That's not happening on your own.
Yeah.
There were many plays where Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis took up enough space that he was able to come and make a play. I'm gonna get back to Bryce Huff here in a moment, but I do want to talk about Bond and Dean here for just a moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see a Zach Bond like regression at some point, just because there's not a whole lot of film of him being the type of linebacker they're asking him to be. But man, I text you a million times during the game, just like I would text you also ... Zach Bond.
Yeah.
And there were many times as I'm rewatching the game where the play was even more impressive the second time than it was the first. The instincts are absolutely there for him to be a linebacker. I believe he was a former safety. I could be wrong. I don't know that for sure.
I don't know.
I want to say when he played in the Big Ten, he was a safety, but I might be wrong. If I am, I apologize. But he looks like he has those kind of instincts. Nakobe Dean, we saw him playing loose and free on Friday night. Yeah, I mean, he had his moments where he got a little bit too, like, he got sucked in on a play action and tight end snuck around him and he blew his coverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that near pick six, that's him playing loose. That's him playing on instinct. That's Nakobe Dean from Georgia. Also, that was Quinyon Mitchell that caused that throw. Just want to point that out.
Yeah.
Quinyon, a lot of Quinyon's plays didn't show up in pass breakups. They showed up in, can't throw the ball there because he's gloved. And Jordan Love doesn't love coming on, pun intended, doesn't enjoy coming off of that like first or second read. And that's what happened on that play where Dean almost picked him off. He looked for the Quinyon receiver. Quinyon had it on lock. He was going to jump the route.
Mm-hmm.
He had to pull it down and rush a throw to the flat. And Nakobe almost had a pick six. That was him playing on instincts off of a young corner making a good play. Now, Bryce Huff, major problem if this guy's not going to be able to rush the passer. Now, I'm not there yet because we know what happened in the Super Bowl with the edge rushers.
Yeah.
Couldn't get upfield. It was happening a lot in this game. No one could get upfield. And it was the same way. Honestly, it was the same with the Packers. Like they had some plays with pressure, some not a ton. And I think the plays they got pressure was because Jalen kind of created it himself.
Yeah.
There are a couple where I can think of him rolling where he didn't need to roll.
Yeah.
The interception included. So I'll be really curious to see what it looks like to at home at the link on. That's when I'm going to start really honing in on Bryce Huff.
I think it's a more fair evaluation.
Yeah, I'm not ready to do it yet. There was a lot of really positive from this defense. Regz, the fact that they got 2 stops, turning the ball over inside their own 30 on 2 straight possessions against this offense, by the way, who most people had in the Super Bowl before the year started, is a really good sign.
Yeah.
For them, it's just going to come down to eliminating explosive plays, which is like a Vic Fangio.
That's right. Yeah.
So there are some weapons on this team in Atlanta with explosive plays that we'll get to here in a little bit, but not like you saw in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And the quarterback isn't going to make an explosive play with his legs like the Green Bay quarterback could. So some things there. On the offense side of the ball, man, Mekhi Becton is big.
Yeah.
Good night. That dude is big. It's funny because like when I watched the offensive line, he's probably the 5th on, if I'm ranking them from this game, he probably is 5th, which he should be.
Right.
When you look at them, it wasn't a bad 5th. It's not a bad 5th. It's not like, oh, he was so bad and it was so clear. It's just he's playing a new position and he's not as good as the other 4 playing their natural position. But if he can figure it out and become more consistent, pick your poison. Who do you want to run behind? Because Jordan Mailata was fantastic this week.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic. Lane Johnson, as always, goodness gracious. Landon Dickerson is a steamroller. And can I just say, outside of the shotgun snap, Cam Jurgens he's the real deal there, man. He made some really athletic plays pulling and knocks guys off in double teams really well. Like in either direction. The Saquon touchdown off of the Reed interception was all Cam Jurgens on a double team. He double teamed, then got to the second level and took out a linebacker.
Yeah.
It was Cam Jurgens. I mean, obviously Saquon is Saquon, but the blocking piece, double team, second level, touchdown. Unbelievable. Really like this kid. You're right about Devontae. He's like a closer.
Yeah.
The end of the game, you're going to go to him because he's going to have the better chance to get open based on who's covering who. So down the stretch, that dude was nails, plain and simple. Saquon, don't have to say anything else. Man, that guy's explosive, Regz.
I mean, it's just that was people's biggest question, right? It's like, how is he going to look after the injuries and he's getting up there in age, and we all know about running backs and all this stuff. Like, I think that dude's been dying to play on a team like this. Can you just like, I'm not saying Saquon Barkley never played hard, because when we played him, he was terrifying. Like literally, he almost beat us by himself a few times. Yeah. But I just think
he could have had a couple more, man.
I just think he's so juiced up.
Yeah.
To play for this team. He must be feeling like he's like 22 again. He's just like, he's ready to go.
I like your Taylor Swift reference there.
Unintentional, but love it.
Yeah. Look, he said after the game, he's like, I'm the 3rd guy that people look at on their scouting report. I don't think that's right. I think he's probably 2nd, but I get his point, right? there were 2 other plays, and they not even scoring plays. Like, the catch was phenomenal. Unbelievable catch.
Oh my
But
goodness.
there were 2 plays that were really impressive to me that weren't even his scoring plays. There was the one where he ran into Grant Calcaterra, and if Grant doesn't get stonewalled by the linebacker, probably goes for 20, 30 yards on that play. But his explosiveness is what he exploded and expected that block to be out of his way and ran into it.
Yeah.
The other one was the one that he broke at the end of the 3rd quarter, and AJ and Devontae were like yelling at each other after the play.
Yeah.
Because they were both like, somebody should have blocked and no one blocked. And Saquon just basically ran into the defender.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to having a guy who runs like that. I mean, look, that was also a hole created by the offensive line, but the jump cut was really impressive there too.
Oh, yeah.
It was something out of nothing, but a nice hole from Mailata and Anderson. Okay. I don't need to say anything about AJ Brown either. I will say Dallas Goedert, watching it back, looked faster to me.
That's fantastic.
Like, on a couple of plays, when he caught the ball in space, he looked quicker. So something to keep an eye on there.
He's going to be open a lot.
Yeah.
I just feel like again, I want you to get to your Jalen grade, but I just think when was the last time we saw guys like schemed open by an actual play?
Mm-hmm.
Like there was one to Devontae where someone motioned, AJ pulled guys out, and he's just like literally wide open in between a bunch of defenders who don't know where to look.
It was the screen pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the screen pump.
And they just like have no idea where their eyes should be. And like they're just open. I think the Goddard one where he's coming on the cross, like again, AJ comes across and they're just creating havoc. Like they're just creating confusion. And AJ does a great job of just literally getting out of the way. But just by literally running straight at somebody and not getting out of the way until the last second, Dallas Goedert is wide open.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean,
it's here, man. It's here.
Yeah. That play with Devontae, the screen pump freezes the corner, but the safety can't come down.
Right.
And just Devontae stands in the middle of him, and it's a 15-yard gain, 20-yard gain, because you're not tackling Devontae one-on-one.
Like as easy as you can make it, man. Like as easy as it gets.
And the Barkley touchdown too, with the motion, Jahan Dotson in motion, pulls the entire defense that direction. Saquon leaks out, and the only guy left is the linebacker, who's never covering Saquon one-on-one.
Yeah.
Never. A lot of that, and a lot of that. And I'll talk about that here in a moment. Jahan Dotson, we talked about on the show in the preview that I was wondering how they were going to use him. He was a decoy all night.
Oh, yeah.
Like a decoy all night. So is what it is. It won't be that way all the time.
Yeah,
but
right.
He just wasn't into the offense yet.
Yeah.
Okay, Jalen. Look, the first interception to me, I got nothing for you. I have nothing for you on that interception. The pocket was getting pushed back into him. When you look at it in film, I can see what he's thinking, but the throw's not out far enough. He can't get up in the pocket far enough to make the throw. If he can get up in the pocket enough to make the throw and get it out in front of Devontae, sure. But like he couldn't. The pocket was. He was in Dickerson's lap.
Yeah.
Dickerson was in his lap. There was no space to make the throw.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he couldn't take a sack there, unfortunately. So it was a weird sort of conundrum. So he threw it up. It just wasn't a good play. Plain and simple. Now the second interception. I got to be honest with you. I know that you're taught not to throw the ball back across your body to the middle of the field. AJ was wide open, and he slipped. Like, I watched that play back 3 or 4 times. He slips. I don't know that if AJ slips, that ball gets picked. I think AJ gets back to the ball, but he ends up down on a knee. before he can get himself back. The ball's in the air and he's on a knee. So it's not a good decision. I'm not excusing the decision, but I can see what Jalen knows who, like, if that's Jahan Dotson, he's not making that throw. If it's Grant Calcaterra, he's not making that throw. He saw 11 standing by himself in the middle of the end zone.
Yeah.
And thought he could get it there. I think at the link, it's probably a touchdown. If not, it's incomplete because they collide in midair and the ball falls.
Yeah.
It's not a good decision. I don't want to excuse the decision. But I also, when I watched it back, Regz, there's no one within like 15 yards when he goes through.
I think I've heard some people say that it might not have been a bad decision. It was a badly thrown ball. Like he put too much air under it. Like when you are going to make that throw, you have to make that thing a laser beam.
Yeah.
And he kind of floated it up there, which allowed the defenders time. And again, I understand AJ slipped. I get it. But like it allowed the defenders time to close the gap. And especially with how far and tough of a throw that is, like you got to put something on that thing.
Right. Outside of that, Regz, he was really good. You know, I definitely agree that pulling it a few times was not great. I'm having a hard time with people saying he lost his athleticism. I'm struggling with that. Jalen was never somebody at the line of scrimmage who was blowing by dudes. That's not who Jalen is.
Yeah.
Jalen's a guy when he gets into space is really difficult. And when he got into space in this game, in the fourth quarter, especially on that last drive, was really challenging for them to slow down. What Jalen started doing at the end of the game that he didn't do at the beginning of the game, or three quarters, I should say, was he was taking the running lane in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Whereas the Packers they wanted him to stay in the middle of the field. They were very intentional about keeping him in the middle of the field or making him roll out.
Yeah.
They want him to roll out. And Jalen will always roll to his right.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does that, he eliminates half the field and teams they'll just string him out. No one's going to go at him because they don't want him to turn the corner.
Right.
So they string him out and then he has to flick it out of bounds. But when Jalen shows he'll stay in the middle of the field, he's very dangerous because there's a lot more space. And in space, Jalen can get a second gear.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't love the read option with Jalen because when he has to stretch, teams plan for that.
Yeah.
And he's not as effective. Every once in a while, he'll get his foot in the ground, but people aren't falling for that anymore.
Yeah.
He did it like twice, and teams fell for it, and now they don't fall for it anymore.
Yeah.
So it might be something that they have to pull out of the book.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think it might just be one of those things that has run its course a little bit. And specifically this year, where you've got a guy like Saquon, like, I just think they can be selective with it. It literally was the best thing that Jalen did. You know, I get it in 2022 it was a huge part of what they were doing, but that just might not be this offense anymore.
No.
And I think that's okay. Like they've shown like they have the ability to. They're gonna scheme guys open. Like they have a dynamic player back there. And like these receivers are still really good, and this tight end like is underutilized for his level of talent. Like they've got these options. I just don't think Jalen needs to call his own number that often.
I think it's okay to do every once in a while. Just keep the defense
right,
on.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now I'll say this, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves with this, because there is a caveat. He was like 6 of 8 against the blitz.
Oh yeah.
They were running plays that allowed him to be effective against the blitz, bringing guys back to the football, crossers, comebacks, things like that. Good stuff. I didn't realize it until I watched it back a second time. And then I had to confirm it by looking at other people's reports because I was not 100% sure that what my eyes were seeing was correct. But the Packers never sent more than 5 guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to see it 6-0, all that.
So look, it was a good start.
It was
I
please,
I'm
for
not.
sure.
I'm not.
For
No,
sure.
I completely understand what you're saying, but I think we also have to be realistic. Like, this is not like what the Buccaneers would do to us. This is not what
No.
other defenses are going to do to us.
Yeah.
I think what we can take from it is that there are options now in this offense
Mhm.
that allow him to check to things or just are built into the offense that allow him to have a release valve.
Right.
Like, there was zero of that last year. There was nothing.
Yeah.
And
I don't. Oh, go ahead.
I just mean, on top of that, you just hope that Jalen now feels like he's equipped with what he needs to beat those kinds of things. Again, we still need to see it, like you said, against heavier blitzes. You're absolutely correct. But it's an unbelievable right step, like a step in the right direction, just to know that there's something. You could have sent a guy with no arms last year and he would have made it through, because nobody was touching him. Like, that's how bad it was. It at least, like, listen, it could have gone the other way. Like, they might have only sent 5 and we could have looked inept again.
Yeah.
So at the very least, we didn't look that way, and we'll see how the rest of it. Well, to your point, we'll see. Let's see how the rest of it looks when it starts to get a little heavier.
I don't know what the Falcons will do. I watched the Steelers Falcons game this week. I see a whole lot of heavy blitz, and that's Fields.
Yeah.
You know, like, I
Right.
don't know. I feel like you could probably blitz him if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what New Orleans is going to do, but week 4 against the Bucs, we're going to see it. Like, they're going to bring it. So it's going to be zero blitz a lot. And I'll be curious to see what the plan is. They're going to jam at the line, and it'll be interesting to see what, how the Eagles respond to that, because they saw it twice last year.
Yeah.
Overall, Regz, I know this probably isn't going to be a popular opinion. I'm probably in the minority, but I give Jalen a B. Like, the good outweighed the bad for me in this game. And maybe that's because they won. If they lost, I might feel very differently.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of really good throws that I don't think people are talking about. A couple of throws to Devontae on the last possession were really good throws. The throws against the blitz were really good throws. So the throw to Barkley for the first touchdown was a really good throw.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good in this game.
Listen, I'm with you. I think there's a different standard. Like, there's a different.
Yeah.
There just is. You're absolutely right that he had plenty of good things. But I think the real focus is on the decision making and the turnovers. Like, I just think that's going to be a huge part of how he's evaluated. Everyone, like, the expectation is him to be able to throw to guys. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
The expectation is not for him to just come in and be, he's a $50 million quarterback now. There's just a different level of expectation that comes with that, which is why I think people are focusing on that stuff. But I don't think, I'm with you. I don't think you can take away the good that he did, especially in some of those final drives. And like you talked about, the one run where he drags a few people to get a first down, like, all those things are huge winning plays that the best quarterbacks make. There's just a few things. There's a couple things to clean up.
Yeah, I trust that. I trust that they will. Overall, they gave away how many possessions and scored 34 points. So I'm very confident in this offense and the way that Kellen Moore's running it. The motion looked great, the scheme looked great, and I think we just saw them scratch. I don't even think they're scratching the surface.
Yeah,
I don't even think I don't think they see the surface yet. Right?
Yeah, I'm with you there.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to this Atlanta game real quickly. Guys to watch for Atlanta. Offensively, look, they have Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. We know what Kirk brings. We've seen Kirk for a long, long time, right? From a wide receiver perspective, I think Drake London's probably the dude to watch. They have a couple of other guys to keep an eye on, but he's the young number one.
Oh yeah.
And of course, my guy, your guy, everyone's guy, Kyle Pitts. Every year people take him in fantasy. Every year it's a struggle fest.
I will
Eagles,
never again.
against this Eagles defense, you just never know.
Yeah.
The guy for me really though is Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson is an absolute freak show.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that this Eagles defense became more susceptible to the run in the second half.
Yep.
So I'm a little concerned about what Bijan can do to them. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's quick. He's strong. That's the guy for me. That's the guy. So I'm okay with Kirk beating them with the weapons they have. This isn't like, oh, you got to key in on Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, right.
That doesn't exist in Atlanta.
Yeah.
The guy that I want them to key in on and stop is Bijan Robinson. Pittsburgh did that.
Yeah.
And we're able to dominate the rest of it. So that's the guy. So you want to see the front be successful this week? It's Bijan.
Yeah. No, I'm
all right.
completely with you.
So give me your key to the game. I will give you mine, and then we will go predictions. The key to the game for the Birds to win.
Pressure on the quarterback.
Pressure and Kirk.
Yeah. I think the more we make him make quick decisions, be uncomfortable, I don't think he was never a super spry quarterback, but like coming off an Achilles, there's got to be a little trepidation. He didn't look athletic or like that he wanted to go anywhere.
Took the words out of my mouth.
And the harder you can make it for him to just even get the ball to Bijan or London or Pitts, like you have to do it. He's still got the arm talent to be able to sit back there and make throws. And like you're not just like all skill players, you're not going to be able to cover them 100% of the time perfectly. So you have to make Kirk uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think that's
everything gets easier from there. Every single thing gets easier from there for the defense.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let me give you mine. So this defense in Atlanta, couple of names. AJ Terrell, good corner. Nothing exceptional, but a good corner. Matthew Judon, good edge rusher, played in New England. Funny to me, they traded for him during training camp when they were sitting in a spot where they could have taken any of the top edge rushers in the draft, but took Penix instead.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. Right. And then Justin Simmons, who we wanted quite a bit at the safety level. But these are like those last two especially are veterans who can be had. So for me, it's the offense. It's score.
Yeah.
Like score the football. I don't want to see turnovers. I don't want to see wasted possessions. I don't expect perfect night, right? Like I don't expect that. But I want them to score more often than they don't. I want to see Regz. I want to see a win that like that I don't remember what week it was, but when they went to Miami last year and won by 2 touchdowns. Like that's like we need that. I didn't expect it against the Packers in Brazil. Right. But you're at home. It's Nick Foles' retirement night. Like, go win this game by a lot. And in order to do that, you're gonna have to score a lot. Because I don't know how often we're gonna get stops. I don't know. I don't know what this defense is yet. I need to see more. Yeah. But I can tell you I know what this offense is. And they're not gonna be easy to stop for anybody. So I want to see them put the throttle down this week. Sunday night, score the football and score it again and score it again and score it again. Score it 90% of the possessions you have. I forget what team did it this week. Somebody scored on like 8 straight possessions. I don't remember who it was or when it was, but someone scored on like 8 straight possessions.
Oh, who was that?
At some point. It was right. I'm not crazy. Oh, it was the Niners.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's what I want to see. No thanks to Brock Purdy, by the way. But that's a story for another day. That guy. No touchdowns. They handed off to a backup running back 27 times. 27 times.
I love that he's like your Brandon Nimmo.
You might get past that. I don't dislike him. I don't dislike the guy. I dislike the narrative that surrounds him. That's the difference. Score. Your prediction, 6.5 point favorites, 47.5 total.
I'm gonna say 31. I'm gonna say 31-20.
Okay, so you're at 41 total. You're under. I said 34-17. I went with the over again, just for fun. Last week, you were 28-21. I was 31-20. So you were under last week. I was over. If this works again this week,
got it.
Make sure. Okay, keep it in mind. Real quick, Phixated. First of all, buddy, I want to say again, happy birthday.
Thank you, buddy.
Glad you're here. Glad you're in my life. That's first and foremost. Secondly, on an Eagles front, I think it's important to just, Nick Foles, thanks, bud. Like, you deserve everything that's coming to you on Monday night. Forever and always. Footlong Foles, Big D knee, Big Dig Neek. You get it, our guy. We love him. One of the greatest performances in Super Bowl history, and clearly the greatest performance in Eagle history.
Mm-hmm.
And that will never be, not only never be forgotten, but will always live on in football lore. Did you see they asked Jalen today during his media time about what he knows about Nick, and he gave a great answer. And then did you watch the game? Yeah, I think I was at Alabama. What'd you think of the Philly special? What'd you think of Philly? Oh, it was well executed, great catch, the whole thing. And then he kind of laughed and said, "Are you guys expecting something this weekend?" Or so I appreciated that. It was Jalen, nice and loose. We don't always get to see that. So that was cool. It was cool to see him that way.
Yeah.
So that's it, man. That's the whole thing.
There you go.
So, all right, everyone. Well, hey, thanks so much for coming on in and hanging out with us tonight. If you already haven't done so, click subscribe on the YouTube box below. Head on over to your social media, to wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple, Amazon, Spotify. Follow, rate, subscribe, do all the things. Then unsubscribe and resubscribe and rate again. That's fine. And then head on over to where you get at the Phixated Pod on Twitter. I will live tweet the game again on Monday night from that account. So go ahead and follow us there at the Mic Drop 5, at Big Regz with a Z on Twitter, at the Phixated fan page on Facebook, at the Phixated Pod on TikTok, where we're putting up clips of our episodes and little recaps of things that I put out throughout, the week, and merchandise link in the show description below. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And take care of yourself. Take care of one another. Until next week, I'm going to do 2. Phil's, just handle your business. And go Birds.
Beat those stupid Mets.
Oh, my God.
Have a great day, guys.
Way up there and way out of here. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.